do want to start just by saying thanks for spending some time with me today during lunch to talk about not just goal setting, but also goal getting. We're going to talk about 5 proven strategies today to help you make sure that the goals that you set stick. And next slide, here we go. I know everyone on the call, but since we're recording it, for those that don't know me, my name is Karen Koutsavlis, and I'm the owner and chief motivating officer of NE360 Fitness. So my goal is to provide practical, simple solutions for busy men and women so you can lead healthy lifestyles and accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. So I want to talk to you guys today. Today's a special day too. The fact that this worked out on January 19th, today is known as Quitter's Day, which is sad that there is a Quitter's Day, but this is the day that, according to Strava, which is a fitness tracking app, is the day that most people start to give up on their fitness and nutrition goals that they set for the new year. I want to change that and help everybody stay on path with the goals that they set, whether it's fitness and nutrition related, or if it's relationships or financial, personal, whatever it might be. A tip that I like to share when I give these webinars, and I think it's especially helpful on a webinar like today, is when we take notes, we typically just kind of jot our notes down on the paper. But if you actually draw a line from top to bottom in the middle of the page, when there's a note that you like or something that you want to remember, write it on the left side of your page. But on the right side next to it, write how that note resonates with you personally and how you want to apply it. Because oftentimes we take the notes, we may not review them, or we just might not really know what we were intending on as we wrote that down. So it's a really good reminder. So use the left side, the right side. Let me know after if it helped you. So I also want to start by asking, have you ever tried setting a health and fitness goal or any other kind of goal before? This is a question that I ask typically when I do any sort of webinar on health and wellness or prior in-person workshops. And typically the answers are yes. And were you able to reach that goal? That goal or some of those goals? Typically, we all have many goals at different times at the same time. Most people, it is not uncommon to not reach those goals. And I want to remind people of something that I tell my clients that I work with individually, that there's no such thing as failure. There's feedback. So if you don't actually achieve the goal that you set out to accomplish, it doesn't mean you failed. It means we need to take a look back and see what steps did you take towards achieving that goal? What worked and what didn't? How far did you get, or did you not even get to start? And that's what I'm hoping that the things we talk about today will help you with. And here's just a couple statistics to kind of reiterate that you're not alone if that happens. But sadly, 25% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions after only 1 week. And this is why, part of the reason why I don't feel people should even set New Year's resolutions. I totally believe in goals, but I think that they're just kind of made and thrown out there and not actually followed up on. 60% abandon them within 6 months. And what's interesting to note is that the average person makes the same resolution 10 separate times. So it's that starting, that stopping. And unfortunately, that cycle just creates a feeling of frustration and discouragement as well. A couple more facts here that are really depressing to me as someone who's in the health and fitness industry as a coach is that only 5% of those who lose weight on a diet, and I say quote unquote diet, actually keep the weight off. If you think of how many people are on diets or pay for special diets at any given time, 95% of those people end up gaining their weight back. And in a lot of cases, they actually gain a little bit more than what they lost. Now, as someone who worked in cardiac and pulmonary rehab in a hospital setting for a couple of years, the bottom statistic here is really disturbing to me. Even after a heart attack, only 14% of patients make any lasting change to their lifestyle, incorporating whether it's healthier eating or a consistent exercise routine. And so it's really sad to think that even something as traumatic as a heart attack, only 14% of those people make those lasting changes. And one thing that I want to talk about today is that this goal setting and goal getting workshop is not just about weight loss. In fact, I think too often that's the goal. And we put so much pressure on ourselves, and we rely on the scale to dictate whether we're successful or not. The scale is a great tool to measure progress. It's one tool of many that we have access to, but it does not measure success. And that's where I think a lot of people are disconnected. They might be making progress internally within their body, but just because the scale doesn't show it when they think they're making this progress, they get discouraged because the number hasn't changed, and then they stop doing what they were doing. I've seen it over and over. And so I just wanted to say that this workshop, again, it's not just about weight loss. I know that that's important for a lot of people, but there's so much more we can focus on as well. So you're in the right place if you feel stuck. Or more importantly, something that I see all the time is that all in or all out, all or nothing mentality. And this happens a lot in January. You go all in for about the first 2 weeks. We get to about January 19th, where we are today, and you're burnt out, you're tired, you're sore, you're not sure you can continue on at the pace that you've chosen to go on. So, I just want to reiterate that this is not all in. These strategies and tools will help you take the steps that you need towards the success you're looking for. As a reminder, the goal getting and habit stacking guide, you should have received it by now. If you haven't, just send me an email and I'll make sure I get you a copy as soon as we wrap up today. This was a really fun tool to put together. It's kind of a combination of what I do online with people, but putting it into a guide with some more of my own words, and then 12 separate habit trackers. So if you need a copy, let me know. If you think someone else would benefit from it, you're welcome to share it. I think it's a great tool, and I hope you guys do too. So we're going to get right into the 5 strategies here. And the first one is keeping your goals few in number. Okay, so psychologists say that we really can only focus on 7 to 10 things at any given time, which is a lot for our brain to comprehend and keep sorting information out. This doesn't mean that as you're thinking about goals and what's important to you, that you can't have a longer list than that. But I think you should start with that big list and then prioritize them. Narrow the list down and prioritize with what's most important to you and what's most exciting to you. You could use something like a whiteboard as you're doing this. You can use the goal setting guide that I sent you. I love sticky notes if you have a place that you can put them, because you can always shift them and rearrange, because your goals can change at any given point as well. So as you achieve one goal, you want to move another up the ladder, or your situation changes and you want to focus on something else instead. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, we're not talking just about health and wellness. So you could have career goals, you can have personal or relationship goals, financial goals. There's so much here, and that's why it can get overwhelming. So start with that big list and then narrow it down and keep that focused on anywhere from 7 to 10. You may feel that you work better with 3 to 5, and that's okay. So find what your sweet spot is. And then strategy number 2 is to make your goals smarter. So you've probably heard of setting SMART goals in the past. I'm giving you 2 extra letters, some bonuses to make sure that these goals are achieved. We're going to go through them one by one, starting with the S for specific. So making sure that you are identifying what you really want. So a non-specific goal would just be, I want to lose weight, ... It's pretty vague. It's not really getting into how much you want to lose or why you want to lose it. So a more specific goal would be, I want to lose 10 pounds. Now, the M is measurable. So an example of a non-measurable goal in comparison to what we just talked about, I want to make more money this year. Well, how much? And what's the time frame we're talking about? Do you want to do it a certain way through savings or working more? So a measurable goal would be, I want to make $5,000 more this year than last year. That phrase alone makes it both specific and measurable. And as you can see through the examples, like I just mentioned, it's pretty vague. You've got that ... This is like confirmed. I want to make $5,000 more this year than last year. And the important part about this is so that when you achieve your goal, you can cross it off and you know you did it. If it's, I want to make more money, how do you know when you've actually reached that goal? And then there's actionable. So workouts, for example, I want to be more consistent with working out versus I want to work out 3 times per week, or I want to do more strength training on a daily basis or 3 times a week. Picking something that is easy that you can take action for, there's nothing wrong with that. And I tell a lot of my clients when we work together, I ask them, like, is this something you can commit to? Is this an action that you can see yourself doing and you are confident on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 10. Yes, I can do this. The second you start to dip down into 8 or 9 and you're not sure you can take those actions, one action, or maybe it's a couple actions, you got to make it a little bit easier. Make it almost laughable. And this is a big part of the goal getting and habit stacking guide. So habits and actions are somewhat interchangeable. So you can determine from your goals, are these actions that I can take to achieve this? And what are these actions? I can track those, and that's how I will achieve my goal. Now, your goal should also be realistic. So if I were to stand up in front of a group of people today and say, I am going to qualify for the PGA Tour this year, I would give you all permission to laugh at me. But a more realistic goal would be, I want to break 100 when I'm golfing this year. So I want everybody, as you think about your goals, to not be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. That's part of what setting goals is, but you also don't have to just hang out and be uncomfortable. But I also don't want you to go into the delusional space or the delusional zone where this makes no sense and I'm not setting anything that's realistic. And it needs to be time bound. Okay, so the beauty of setting a deadline is that it creates urgency and it drives action. So all of these things together are what really make the success towards a goal better and easier on you to take action. So I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, you want to lose 20 pounds by when? And it's going to help you prioritize the actions that you need to take to get to where you want to be by that certain time. So that covers the SMART goals, which you may have heard about before, but the bonus levels are E, exciting. There needs to be some sort of excitement and drive towards the goals that you want to achieve. When I started NE360 Fitness almost 9 years ago now, our foundation and our principles are the same as they still are today. We focus on fitness, nutrition, stress management, and better sleep and recovery. But there's always an underlying layer, part of the foundation, and that's fun. If your program isn't fun or your goals aren't exciting, then what is the purpose behind it that is going to keep you going, especially when the times are tough? Because life happens, and we know that there are going to be those hurdles along the way. This is a great way also, as we talked about the actions, but if you have that big list of goals and the things that you want to accomplish, maybe it's places you want to travel to even, what's most exciting to you? Use this to help you prioritize so that you have a clearer understanding of where you want to go with your goals and then what actions you need to take. And then lastly, it needs to be relevant to where you are now. And this is really important because sometimes as we're determining what actions we need to take, they may not make sense. So for me, for example, if I want to break 100 golfing this year, is it really relevant to me? Relevant? Do I have the time to golf 18 holes once a week? It's a huge time commitment for me. My kids are older now; they have more activities, so I'm more in that taxi cab driver mom position, taking care of parents. And other things that may or may not be more important or exciting to me. So thinking about what you can do. If your goals are financially to make an extra $5,000 or save some more money, does it make sense with your current situation to save $1,000 a month or $100 a month? Or maybe you need to start with 10. So make sure that you're assessing the situation where you are now and keep your goals relevant to that particular situation. If you need to change or evolve your goals, that's the beauty of this. You can always change them as you go. And we'll get into how you do that too. So now my next question is, do you believe in the power of written goals? Now, again, this is something that I've asked in other presentations and workshops I've done, and almost all the hands go up. Yeah, of course we believe in writing our goals down. And then I follow up with, okay, so how many of you have actually written your goals down? And this is where less hands go up. So your third strategy is to write your goals down. And again, the guide that I sent you is a great place to do that. So you have that chance to write down everything and then prioritize them, and then maybe rewrite them with just those that you're focusing on. And here's the cool thing. Simply writing your goals down increases the likelihood of achieving them by 42%, which I think is a pretty cool fact to share with people, because 42%, being 42% more likely to achieve a goal just gives you that drive and that fire inside to say, I can do this. And I think that's a really cool fact to point out. So strategy number 4 is reviewing your goals frequently. Now, this is why it's important to write them down. And where you write them down it doesn't really matter. I think that there is more power from, pen to paper. If you're going to use a tablet or an app on your phone or something like that, that's fine. But the key to writing them down is this: putting them in a place where you are able to review them frequently. Because think about how many times we have all these ideas and things we want to do and accomplish and experience, and then life happens and we keep going about our days, our lives, and we sort of forget what we were working on or what we really, what we were really striving for. And this is where you can also take a look each week or each month, whatever it might be, and say, what are the actions I can take to keep progressing towards the goal I set? If you have to make changes by constantly reviewing your goals, you're going to have that opportunity to take those actions instead of forgetting about them and then having to start all over from scratch further down the road. And so the last strategy is to share your goals, but to share them selectively. So this doesn't necessarily mean just broadcasting it out to the world, what you're going to do, because what it does is it actually tricks your brain, and your brain thinks that it's already accomplished your goal. So you want to find people that you can trust that are going to hold you accountable and check in and say, hey, how is that going? Didn't you say you were doing this? Where are you in that goal, or what's your progress like? I'd love to know. So it's important to share them, but share them selectively. So I went through that pretty quickly, you guys. I hope that I'm not going too fast. As a recap, these are the 5 strategies, all right, to crush your goals for 2022 and beyond, because hopefully these tools are things that you'll implement and be able to revisit on a regular basis. So don't set too many goals, no more than 10, maybe 5, 6, or 7. Okay, whatever you think you can manage that's not too overwhelming, make them smarter, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, timely, exciting, and relevant. And be sure to write them down. And once they are written down, review them frequently and then share them selectively. And so what I hope is that you see just how powerful these strategies can be when it comes to setting your goals, especially if you think about maybe the way you did things prior to actually really thinking about how to achieve goals. Because what we don't want to happen is that we just go through life and end up regretting all these things we had wanted to do and then never actually creating those opportunities for ourselves to experience those. Instead, I want you to be able to look back and say, wow, I really did some awesome things. All right. And in the grand scheme of things, when you see this, it's not the weight loss or the money saving tips. It's the experiences that you're looking for. Our goals are setting us up for the experiences that we want to have, either on our own or with others. If it's freedom from time constraints, being able to move around and just enjoy our bodies, enjoy different places and traveling. Those are the things that our goals lead to. And that's why you have the why on every single page of your habit tracker, which you'll see in a second. Because the next question really after reviewing all this is, okay, I've got all this information. Hopefully you were taking notes. How do I make this happen? I think we've laid out the steps pretty clearly. But if you're new to this, there's two paths. There's the complicated and confusing path, or there's simple and strategic, which is, I hope, what you've learned today. I like to remind people I work with that experts simplify things and beginners tend to complicate things because we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect. And we're always aiming for excellence. And there's nothing wrong with aiming high and expecting, setting your standards high, but constantly aiming for perfection is not really going to get you anywhere. And so along the lines of simple and strategic, I really hope that this guide is going to be helpful for you. Inside, you'll find 12 different trackers here. Plus there's a whole bunch of other pages with, some stuff that I wanted to write and share and help you on your journey. But again, thinking about those things and the experiences that I was talking about at the end, why are you doing this? Back to weight loss, I'm not losing weight to lose weight. I want to feel good in my body. I want to feel confident. I want to live a life without restrictions or feel like there's rules. So on this, you can write your month, the month that you want to work on, 12 different ones. Write down the habit or the action that you're going to be working on. And then just because there's a circle for every single day of the month, that doesn't mean you have to check anything off, everything off every day. For example, if your goal is to strength train 3 times a week, then you will only want to check off 3 things per week. So this is a guide. It's exactly what it is. It's for you to create your own boundaries and allow yourself some flexibility. You could use this to track 1 or 2 habits if you wanted. It can get overwhelming if there's too many things to track, but hopefully this is something you'll be able to print and use and enjoy. And again, really review on a regular basis. This is what we do in the app, which I know those of you here right now use and are familiar with. So it's just kind of a different version of that. And sometimes I really do think that it's fun to just write things down. I have multiple journals that I use writing down daily goals, monthly goals, and yearly goals, and a lot of daily actions to take and check off on my journey. And I want you guys to know that, everything that I try to teach people is stuff that I incorporate into my life as well. So I'm not just sitting here saying that there's these things to do, but it's really important for me to share with you and be transparent that, I set goals and actions and I don't achieve them all, but I sure do try really hard. And I know how easy it is to forget where you are in one part of the journey. So that wraps up this super quick, but hopefully simple and impactful goal getting process. Do you guys have any questions for me? And I know Carolyn.
What's,
yeah.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. I just wanted to say great job on this. And I just want to know, like, what is one of your goals? Just one.
Oh, gosh.
Just curious. You don't have to share if you don't want to.
No. So my goal, I'm going to tell you right now, one of my goals is to strength train 4 times a week.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time the last few years doing endurance training, riding my bike for 3 to 4 hours at a time, going for runs, signing up for the next competition. And I hate to just resort to the pandemic, but on a positive note, what I learned was like, wow, I kind of got away from who I was, because my background is strength training. And I think most of you who work with me know that I stress the importance of strength training. And I was able over the last year to add some more weights to my collection. So I'm lifting a little bit heavier. My specific goal is 4 days a week right now, because I'm trying to determine what my baseline strength is, so that then I can add like a goal of, I want to bench press this much weight or squat this much weight. So for me, it's that 4 days a week. And I'll also add that, I was always looking for the races and what I could compete in next. And I'm trying to step back from competition, and I'm actually just exercising for fun. And it's really been freeing for me. So good question, Carolyn. Way to put me on the spot.
I just had to ask. I was just curious.
I love it. No, it's great. My mind was like, which one am I going to share? Another question that was submitted beforehand too, from someone that couldn't make it, was my thought on vision boards. And I don't know if either of you are familiar with vision boards. It's actually a workshop I also thought about doing, trying to find a way to do that online. But in case you don't know, vision boards are basically a picture of how you vision your success. So your vision board could be places you want to travel to. It could be certain words, like we've chosen our words for 2022. But it's more of a visual that you can post, maybe like a collage or something that you just abstractly put together. And I think that they are a wonderful tool in terms of setting your goals and being able to review them in a more consistent pattern. So beginning of each month, or having something near your desk where it's, whether it's a 5x7 or maybe it's a poster of what you want to feel. And again, I want to drive home the idea of the experiences. And just like when we talk about, it's not always the workout that you want, it's the feeling you get afterwards. So that's what I think the vision boards create. And I think they are absolutely a wonderful tool. And if that's something anybody ever wants to do in like a Zoom setting until we can do them in person, that's something we could also work on setting up. But yeah, any other last questions? You guys mind sharing like what your favorite tip was from today, or what you think will be most valuable for you? And you don't have to share if you don't want to.
I think for me, I'm going to just talk quietly because I'm at work. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I think for me, it would be the biggest takeaway was probably reviewing the goals frequently, because I tend to write them down and then just put them away and don't revisit them like we should be. So I think that was a great tip.
Awesome. Good.
Yep.
I think for me, what I took away, I noticed that you said people have the same goal 10 times on average, which I'm guilty of. I've had organization as my as my New Year's goal for year after year after year. And then I just said, I'm not going to do it. Why do I even say it? But so I'm going to take that away. I'm going to say, yep, I got to work on making them smarter and more specific. And
Yeah.
other smaller things, yeah.
What a great goal, because that's something that organization can create, that environment that feels supportive, right? It's our environment can totally make or break our success with anything. And organization, I love being organized. That doesn't mean I always am, but that's great, Deb. Thanks for sharing that. Well, awesome. I really appreciate you guys taking time to be here today and listen. And I will certainly send out the link to this recording. So even if you want to share it with people or just rewatch and listen and review the tips, I really appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, you can always just reach out via email. But thanks again for being here. I hope you guys have a great day.